Hey everyone, Fixate here, and today we've got some new Call of Duty DMZ leaks, including actual screenshots and everything that they confirm about the upcoming game mode. If you're new to my channel, the entire channel is dedicated to extraction shooters and Tarkov-like games where I make guides, tutorials, and live streams all here on YouTube. So if you're an extraction shooter junkie like me, then make sure to drop a sub for future content. Alright, so let's dive into the juice. These leaked screenshots come from our favorite DMZ leaker by the name of Codsploits on Twitter. He's been dropping content about DMZ for a while now, and these screenshots definitely look legit. Here it is, and what we are clearly looking at here is the main menu of DMZ, and there's a few things here that really tell a lot. Let's start in the bottom left. Obviously, we have the big play DMZ button in the bottom left. Now, we knew that DMZ had different factions from a previous leak, but we actually will get a closer look behind that menu in the next screenshot, so bear with me. We'll finish talking about this menu here, and then we'll dive into the next one. To the right of faction missions, we can see a squad fill on-off button. Now this is really telling. For starters, it seems pretty clear that while you can play solo if you want to, there is actually no solo queue, and the game is encouraging solo players to queue up with random squad mates. Now, most extraction shooters do not have a dedicated solo queue because part of the risk and excitement is like not knowing what you're going to run into. This is really reminiscent of Hunt Showdown and Battlefield Hazard Zone though. You can solo queue if you really want to, but the game is saying, hey, it's meant to be played in a squad, and I'm imagining it's really difficult to progress just playing solo in the DMZ. Now, I know for me, this is kind of sad at times because I do typically prefer to play solo. I just have this nervous feeling like it's going to be like solo queuing in Warzone where 90% of the time your teammates quit or don't speak freaking English or they're total bots. I guess I'm just going to have to find some friends, and that's all good. This preferred squad queue system is also a clear indicator that proximity VoIP will 100% be a part of the game. And we already knew that it was added to Warzone 2, and this is just locking in that there's no question that DMZ is going to have proximity VoIP with your teammates and with other enemies. Next, let's take a look at the right-hand side of the screen, and here we have 3 missions. Now, these missions look exactly like the daily missions that we get in Warzone. Pretty much simple tasks to reward XP, but in this case, they're rewarding money, which again is telling us for certain that every player will have a bankroll or amount of cash to their name that they can use to buy loadouts for their next raids. We kind of already assumed this, but this really sets it in stone. It's also worth noting that these missions are clearly different than the faction missions, and we're going to dive into that in a second when we take a closer look at the faction mission page. Before we do that, let's focus our eyes smack dab in the center of the screen and look at the operator. This is Fender, one of the new operators in Modern Warfare 2. So from the looks of this, similar to Warzone, the operator skin you choose has no gameplay impact except for the way it looks. Rose skins unite. This also tells me something very important, and that is that there will be no visual adjustment to operators when they are in raid. The operator we see right here is a carbon copy of the multiplayer model of Fender. Why is that important? Because it means that in all likelihood, players will have an identical armor system similar to Warzone, where they can use armor plates to bolster their damage reduction. And what this also means is that there is likely no unique armor types found out in the raids, because if there was, player operator models would be adjusted to show the change in armor type. Now, there is a rare chance that players might be able to upgrade their armor without it altering their physical in-game appearance, but I would say at this point that is highly unlikely given how armor works in Warzone. Lastly, let's take a look at the top of the screen, and first things first, we see a player level with experience bar, what platform they are playing on, which input, controller, or keyboard and mouse, and if they have an active mic. Another thing we all expected but didn't know for sure, but players will be able to progress their character with experience and a leveling system. This is huge for long-term commitment of the player base for DMZ. Next thing to look at is the soldier tab, and what's behind here we do not know, but it's likely a character selection screen that lets you pick whichever operator you want to drop in with. I also think it's fair to assume that this is where you're fully going to customize your loadout before going into the raid. Weapon customization, however, will be under the weapons tab. And it seems pretty clear that this would be the new Gunsmith 2.0, which allows you to customize your guns and all of the attachments on it. Wow, that screenshot was actually nuts. There was so much good quality information that we could extrapolate from just the one screenshot. Now, we do have one more screenshot to take a look at, and that is within the faction mission selection button. We saw it earlier on the screen. First things to notice at the top is that it looks like we have 3 different faction tags: Westbridge, Crown, and Group 5. So right now we have the Crown highlighted, and we can see 7 different mission types down below with 20 total missions within them. These 3 faction names do, however, differ from what we saw with the last leaks, but it seems very, very possible that other factions will be unlocked as you complete missions, because there's absolutely no way that there's going to be a faction with 20 total missions, and then that's all she wrote. We completed 33% of all the missions, right? So I think we've got this section here. We complete them all. It unlocks further missions with different factions. It would make perfect sense. Now, the one mission that's selected is called Fully Encumbered, with a requirement to extract with a full backpack, including the backpack weapon slot. This exact mission was part of the previous mission leaks that we had just a few days ago. So also something I want to highlight that's very important. Notice on the left-hand side, the reward is Snapshot Grenade and 4,500 cash. There was some concern that perhaps there would not be a home base inventory where you can like stockpile your gear and weapons, but the fact that we are receiving an item as a mission reward really confirms that that's a yes. There will be a stash that holds all of our required stuff. Wow, amazing how much information there was to unpack in just 2 screenshots. I can't wait to dive deep into any of the upcoming information that we might get about DMZ. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you're looking for more DMZ content, then make sure to drop a sub, and I'll catch you in the next one.